Yo, what's going on YouTube, and welcome back to some more Assassin's Creed Syndicate gameplay. So if you guys missed the video that I put up earlier today, just before this one, then I ran you through some, or like a large chunk of Sequence 3. I was very kindly invited by Ubisoft to an event in London late last week where we got to go hands-on with Assassin's Creed Syndicate, play a load of Sequence 3, a load of Sequence 7, and that is exactly what you're going to see in this video. If you haven't seen the Sequence 3 video already, then I'll drop a link to it in the description box down below. Check that one out because that's got a lot more gameplay of Evie and runs through a lot of the different missions you can do in that sequence, plus you also get the kind of like big gang fight at the end. So there's loads of really cool things in there, so definitely make sure you don't miss that one. But in this one, I'm going to pick up with Sequence 7. So it's a little bit later than where we left off, but this time around it's going to feature a lot more Jacob gameplay. We're going to start with Evie, of course, but we will obviously move on to Jacob afterwards. So if you guys do enjoy this, then a like would be massively appreciated, and also make sure you subscribe if you want to stay up to date on all of our daily gaming videos, and obviously much more Assassin's Creed Syndicate when the game drops next month. So, Sequence 7, as mentioned, we are going to start off as Evie. This basically picks up, we start off on the train, which is our kind of mobile base, the thing we actually obtained in Sequence 3 by defeating Arekkz with Kalok, who was the big sort of gang leader, challenged us to a fight on the train, and then when he lost, we kind of just took his train, so, you know, why not? So we start off this kind of video, or start off the sequence, by actually helping out one of the ladies on the train. Someone that actually works with us, she sort of manages the finance, allows you to then go and collect all your money from the safe, but she is also being followed. Every time she kind of goes to the market and comes back to the train, she's constantly being followed, so we decide to kind of pick up the mission, find out what's going on, find out whether she's actually in trouble, and then sort of go from there. So you basically begin the mission by sort of tailing this kid, the one that's obviously doing the following, trying to work out where he's going to go, and then you actually kind of find out that later on it gets a little bit more hectic, because he basically passes through sort of an area where there were sort of some more blighters, some more of the kind of old gang, and they then want to go and cause some trouble. So firstly we have to protect her because there are lots of sort of snipers up on the roof, so you ideally want to sort of like, you know, work your way on the roof the whole time, taking them all out to kind of protect her, stop her from being shot. And then once you do get nearer to the train, you actually find out, you know, there's obviously like a lot more gang members there. So you have another one of these sort of like mini gang fights. Obviously your kind of team that are kicking around by the train, they do help you out. So you don't actually have to do too much here, which is really cool. I like these kind of mini gang battles. They do get a bit kind of crazy, but they're also a lot of fun. But after that, you actually find the guy that was following her was basically just a fanboy. He heard about what I'm going to call like our train gang, and he's just basically wanted to join us. So we then kind of roped him in and decided to sort of make him clean the train. That's kind of his job. He's not going to get like a fancy promotion, but that is what he has to do. However, the sequence then moves on because although we've just recruited him, he then goes and gets himself in trouble and he gets arrested. So the next part of it, once again still playing as Evie for this point, weren't actually able to switch just yet, but shortly after this we'll get to Jacob. But for this part, we actually had to go, and this was really stealthy. If you guys saw my last video, you'll know that I did say there was a lot more combat stuff because I might have messed up some of my stealth, but in this one, you kind of got to sneak around and effectively mess with the evidence, because basically if the police don't have any evidence, they can't hold this guy. So we then have to sort of stealth around at the crime scene, stealth around where all the police guys are, and we have to remove and destroy some of the evidence. Now this particular mission says that you can't kill people because obviously they are policemen, so they're innocent, so you know, they're not like regular enemies. But I did actually try and sort of focus on stealth this time around. One of the cool things we've actually got a kind of rope launcher or like grappling hook, which you got at the end of Sequence 3, and it makes like kind of climbing around the environment and sort of like, you know, traversing the environment a hell of a lot easier. When you're by the side of a building, you can basically shoot your grappling hook up to the top of the building and it will sort of let you like rappel and climb up the wall. It doesn't make it too easy. I do remember sort of like some people mentioned way back when I did my Gamescom video, some people were saying, does this kind of trivialize the climbing mechanic? Because obviously that's one of the things you like doing in Assassin's Creed, you know, scaling buildings. And in all honesty, no it doesn't, because you can't necessarily just use the grappling hook to take you to the top of a super tall building. You do still need to do some climbing, but it does just mean those sort of like simple walls or, you know, small houses and small buildings that you would normally, you know, spend a couple of seconds climbing. It does just make it a little bit more fluid. So it's actually a really cool thing, but also you don't just have to use it to scale up buildings, you can also use it to kind of scale across. So for example, when I'm doing this sort of investigation sequence here, and I want to sort of try and drop down on the policeman and obviously not be seen, then instead of trying to sort of scale the wall or just like, you know, run past one of the policemen, I can instead shoot a rope line, climb across it, and then just drop down, which is really good from like a stealth mechanic and a stealth point of view. So I do actually really like this new tool. It does basically just remove some of the sort of slightly more tedious climbing elements, but still remains or still like leaves some of the best things you enjoy most. Now what we actually do in this part, once we kind of moved around and sort of destroy the 3 different evidence pieces, we then need to actually grab the body itself and then go and hide that. I might actually have kind of missed the objective at first and tried to sort of run away and put it back in a carriage like I did in Sequence 3 and ride it off. Turns out you actually want to put it back in sort of like a barrel or like in a bush or something like that. So ran back, dropped him in there, and that is pretty much the end of that part of the mission. After there, we're then going to switch over to Jacob, because basically the premise of Sequence 7 is that there is a plot supposedly to assassinate the Prime Minister, so we're basically trying to sort of like work out what's going on, you know, work out who's responsible, and work out whether or not he's actually in danger. So when we switch over to Jacob, we've actually got to kind of sneak into this sort of fancy club area and spy on the Prime Minister, find out what's going on, and see if we can find out who's threatening him. After that, you then tell the person that you believe is the one that's going to kind of cause trouble, you then knock him down, and then when you're trying to get information from him, he gets sniped. So obviously someone is trying to shut him up, so we then pursue that person, pursue the sniper, and try and get the information from them. Now that is kind of it for Sequence 7. I mean, there's obviously like a hell of a lot more to do, but that's kind of it for what I've got gameplay-wise, because, you know, I kind of had to wrap it up there. Didn't get a chance to do it, because Sequence 7 is pretty damn big. You know, we played in Whitechapel beforehand, which was a pretty big map, but this one takes place in Westminster, which is much, much bigger. You can actually use your kind of train base to sort of get around, because it's so big. But it's really, really cool. There's like loads of stuff to do. I obviously, this time around, because I was sort of like strapped for time, I was trying to sort of focus slightly more on the core missions, so hence why I went after the Prime Minister. But just like in Sequence 3, there's loads of sort of like side quests you can do to sort of like get a better hold over the city, because there's, right now when you begin, it's completely covered in red. The gangs and obviously the Templars have complete hold over the entire area, so the more stuff you do, the more it opens up and the more stuff becomes available to you. As with any other Assassin's Creed game, it does benefit you to actually go and spend some time completing some of the side missions to try and sort of like regain control, because it does obviously open more things up. But for the time being, that is it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. It's a quick look at some of the stuff in Sequence 7. I am really, really looking forward to Assassin's Creed Syndicate. I mean, I am a long-time fan of the Assassin's Creed series anyway, but I do definitely feel like Assassin's Creed Syndicate is like a return to like the really kind of strong part of the series. You know, there's some great stealth elements, the combat is really good, loads of cool stuff to do. It's in a really cool setting, a really unique setting that we've never been in before, so plenty of stuff to do. Now, as mentioned, if you guys haven't seen Sequence 3, then make sure you check that one out. I'll leave it linked in the description box down below, or you can just find it on the channel. But aside from that, thank you very much for watching. Take it easy. Catch you next time. Peace out.